God bless you, everybody. Welcome to the I Game, where we learn it's not about me, it's not about us, it's about God, but I love God. Welcome back to season 2. This is the second episode, and I'm gonna continue talking about current events. And right now, one of the major topics is the aliens. People believing in aliens, people wish they seen aliens, other people claiming that they have seen aliens. And there's a lot of propaganda going on about it. There's a lot of mysteries. There's a lot of testimonies we see online. And my son said something that made me think one day. We just busted out laughing. He was like, yo, Dad, why is it people always see the aliens in the rural areas? Why they not just flying over Richmond? There's never been an alien sighting in a major big city. I was like, yeah, you're right. And we just laughed and joked about it. But this is kind of a serious topic, and it's serious now because now the government is using it to distract us. And a lot of the information about these aliens, a lot of it is just misleading. But just to get to the point, and then we're going to talk about it for a few minutes, these people are not talking to aliens. The ones who are having these mysterious messages and these communication through frequencies and all this other stuff that they're claiming, these people are talking to demons. These people are talking to evil spirits. These people are talking to the same devil that taught the original man to build the Tower of Babel. Because there's this evil energy that we use to rebel against God and to build our own kingdoms and our own lifestyles and to make ourselves feel satisfied with ourselves. Because humans do have a sin nature. And for those of us who read the Bible, it goes all the way back to Cain and Abel. It always goes back to Seth. Because after Abel died, the godly lineage was rebuilt through Seth. The man, evil's lineage came through Cain. So there's the lineage of Cain, and then there's the lineage of Seth. Seth were the people who were connected to God, and they tried their best to remain connected to the one true God. Cain were just the humans who did what they wanted to do if and when they wanted to do it. Cain went and built the city, because after he created violence, the first recorded murder, he went and built the city. Why did he do that? God created the garden. Cain created a city. What's the difference between a city and a garden? The garden is free. The garden is open. God created the garden. We're supposed to be able to go to these apple trees and eat for free. We're supposed to be able to go to these, pull these watermelon out the ground and eat for free. Everything God gave us was free. The garden was free. In the city, you have to buy your food. You have to earn your food. Then you have to pay a tax. Then there's the city wall, which they built for protection from other people, because once you commit violence, you know what's coming back. And that's a whole nother hour-long talk, the city and the garden, because there are many differences. We never consider violence in the garden, but there's always violence in the city. There's crime in the city. You need police in the city. You've never seen police patrol a garden. God created the garden. Everything's supposed to be free, transparent. You reap what you sow, and it's also the same with the city. If you reap violence, you sow violence. You sow violence, you reap violence. I mean, it's a cycle. You just have to decide which cycle you want. So these people talking to these aliens, what are they really doing? The aliens are giving them information that humans shouldn't have, because there are certain things God knows if we get it, we're going to misuse it because of our evil sin nature. And this technology, what it does is it's allowing us to rebuild the Tower of Babel. And like the Bible said, and like God said, now there's nothing these humans won't do. And God created confusion, and he confused the languages, and they could no longer build it. Well, we're doing that same thing again. And instead of living off what God gave us, the garden, the earth, we're living off this technology. And this technology is allowing us to supersede the providence of God. Because there are certain things God wants you to do, and there are certain things he doesn't want you to do. And what our technology is doing is it's connecting us. It's giving us more imagination, which is leading to more evil imagination. I mean, just think about it. How much money would pornography make if there was no technology? It will be limited. This technology is actually increasing the human trafficking and the sex trafficking, because one image can be resold 1 million times. And these images are being fed to people who really didn't want it, but now that they've seen it, it's woken up a different kind of lust. And I've heard these testimonies. I've heard men and women say, I never even thought about this until I saw it. Then once I saw it, now I'm curious. Then they go down that rabbit hole. Then they go down that wrong path, seeing something that they wish they never saw. And what the enemy's doing, what these demons are doing, it's not really aliens. Aliens is just a disguise. It's just a lie. It's just misleading propaganda. But talking to these evil spirits, what these people are doing is now they're messing with the weather. And some of us have heard about these weather machines manipulating the weather. But they claim they're doing it for good reasons, but they're really not. They're affecting the weather. You know, one of the rumors is to cause an earthquake in New Zealand. Another rumor is that tsunami that hit Haiti was caused by the weather machine. Like humans, we shouldn't have this kind of technology. We shouldn't have this kind of power. I still remember that Kanye West song, "No One Man Should Have All This Power." That was a great song, and it applies to many different situations and scenarios. You already don't trust the government. Do you really want the government to have this supernatural, super technology and these super ideas and this super wisdom? Are we sure we are comfortable with this? And now Elon Musk wants to put microchips in our heads and connect our brains to the internet. Are you sure you want that? It sounds like a good idea. It sounds cute. We've seen these futuristic movies and we always wonder, what if, but you really don't want that. Why aren't we satisfied with what God originally gave us? What's wrong with the garden? What would you do if all the electricity was cut off for 30 days? How would you eat and survive? Like my father and my grandfather lived on a farm. I never lived on a farm. I don't know what I would do without electricity for 30 days. I never lived on a farm. And honestly, it scares me because I have 3 children and they need to eat. But I've never lived on a farm. So how would I take care of my children for 30 days with no electricity? What am I gonna do? So we learned to live off this technology. We learned to live off this transhumanism. And a lot of this information is coming from an evil source. These are not aliens, these are demons. These are people, these are spirits that are teaching humans how to rebel against God. God wants us to do certain things, but we don't want to do it. So think about that for a minute. What would you do if the electricity was cut off for 30 days? That means there's no bank, you cannot put gas in your car. What are you gonna do? Because we don't know how to live off the land that God gave us. If that electricity was cut off for 30 days, the Amish would run the country because they're the ones who know how to live without electricity. We don't. But because of our educational system and our universities and our internet and our Google, we think the Amish are actually behind. No, they're actually wiser than us. The Amish people are actually smarter than us because they can survive without all these toys. We can't survive without these toys. I've been to Pennsylvania. Those Amish people are still using horse and buggies, and some of them have cars. So they're actually better than us because they can go both ways. They can use the car and they can use the horse and buggy. We can't survive without our cars. They know how to use the internet and they know how to farm. So the Amish people are actually better than us. They have the advantage. They can survive without electricity. We can't. So with all of our superhuman knowledge and our superhuman universities and all this stuff we have, our iPhones, our Googles, we're really not better. We're actually becoming dependent on something that is unnatural. And the people who are in control, what are they doing? They talk about demons and all this UFOs and radiation, nuclear, atom bombs, all this stuff we don't even need. And we've become addicted to our comfort. We've become addicted to our toys, and now we're willing to do anything to keep them. So we're selling our souls for comfort. We're selling our souls for more knowledge, and all this comfort and knowledge is taking us further and further away from God. And we're actually destroying the earth in the process. And for those of you who say you're against slavery, a lot of our technology and our cell phones and our TVs are being created by natural resources and minerals in the bottom of the earth that are being dug out by 12-year-old boys and 9-year-old girls. The products we're using are being created from child labor in third world countries by children. So we're actually funding slavery just to have our cell phones and our cameras and our TVs and our cars. These natural resources are being dug out of the earth by children because they're the only ones small enough to go into those holes. So if you're against slavery, you're actually subsidizing it every time you buy a cell phone, including me. I just bought a new phone, so I'm doing it too. So I'm guilty too. So we're actually living in this imaginary universe where we pretend we want love and fairness and equity and freedom, but we're subsidizing slavery of other people to have our toys because we don't want to live off the earth that God gave us. Because if God really came back, we might not like him because he might take our toys. If God really came back and judged us for what we did and took away the stuff we don't need, some of us may not be happy. Are we ready to go back to that farm life? All this alien talk is just creating more imagination and more mystery to blind us to the reality. And the reality is we created a world where we don't want God and we don't need God because we have our technology and our toys. And that's a problem because we're no longer satisfied with the things God originally created. And that's a problem. Imagine giving your child a brand new pair of shoes and your child don't want them. That's how we treat God sometimes. And the alien talk just takes us further into this non-existent fantasy world to distract us from our reality. And the reality is we're not satisfied with what God gave us. So we have to find something else. And the people in power, when they can't answer for their decisions, we just blame it on the aliens. Look at these spaceships. Keep looking over there. Keep looking over there. It's all a lie. And I still don't believe man walked on the moon, so I knew these people were lying 40 years ago. But that's a whole nother talk. These aliens are demons. Get right with God and get ready for whatever God's gonna do because he's not gonna let us rebuild the Tower of Babel. Peace.